Evergrande. Evergrande Group, China's biggest property developer by sales, has come under increasing scrutiny in recent months as the company grapples with a severe liquidity crisis due to a mounting debt pile. Possible contagion from a default on Evergrande's obligations has rattled markets as people worry that it might be another Lehman moment for China. The company has a staggering $300 billion in outstanding debt, which is the biggest debt burden of any publicly traded real estate management or development company in the world. And even worse, not only Evergrande owes 170 banks money, but also it has about 67% of its debt coming from cash deposits that customers have paid towards property that has not been completed. Protests by homebuyers and investors demanding their money back and seeking answers from company executives have broken out in recent days at Evergrande's headquarters in Shenzhen and its offices across the country. What exactly is Evergrande, and how did it go so horribly wrong? From the largest real estate developer in China just a year ago to potentially the biggest commercial failure in human history. In today's video, we'll go over Evergrande's story. Hey everyone, welcome to Stock TLDR, your weekly source for the biggest financial stories right now. If you're new to this channel and like tech stories, please like the video and subscribe to our channel. Let's begin. Evergrande was founded by Hui Ka-yin in 1996 in the southern city of Guangzhou. In just 20 years, Hui expanded his company to be the largest developer in China with more than 1,300 projects in more than 280 cities. How can Evergrande do so many projects at the same time? Largely by borrowing. Let me show you how. Let's say I run a real estate company and I have $100 million on hand. I will use this money to purchase a piece of land for my potential project. And once that transaction is done, I then go to the banks and take out more money with this newly acquired land as my collateral. How much money can I take out? Theoretically, I should only take out about 60 to 70% of the land's value. However, thanks to the fastly booming real estate market in China for the last 20 years, oftentimes by the time the developer has engaged in talks with banks, the value of the land has already gone up 10, 20, or even 50% in value. As a result, I as the developer can get all of my $100 million taken out of a new loan, or even better, sometimes more than my original $100 million to $130 or $150 million. I would then use this new $130 million to acquire another piece of land and mortgage it again, and buy another land, mortgage it again. The cycle goes on and on. A typical Chinese developer would do this cycle 2 to 3 times, but some aggressive ones would do it 10 to 15 times. Why would they be so aggressive, you ask? Well, there is big money waiting for them at the other end of the tunnel. Let's say I start with $100 million, and I then do this flip 10 times. I have $1 billion worth of land at this time. I owe the banks $800 million in debt, and typically Chinese real estate market doubles in value every 6 years. So by the time I sell my properties, it would be worth probably $2 billion. The construction cost and marketing cost would be about $500 million maximum. And even better, the developers don't even have to pay for construction, as it is very common in China that the construction companies would pay for all the costs upfront first, and only get their money paid a few years later when the project is all sold out. So, $2 billion minus $800 million minus $500 million and other expenses such as interest payments. I can expect $500 million in profit. And don't forget, I had only $100 million to start with, so basically I made 5-fold my money. The more aggressive you are, the more leverage you get from the banks, the more you will make from the projects. Crazy, right? This was very common among Chinese developers in the last 20 years, but Hui took this game to its extreme. He did this flip hundreds of times. According to the company's website, the company has 1,300 concurrent projects with debt owned to 170 different banks. In fact, it is hard to find a bank that does not do business with Evergrande in China. Still, at this point, you can say Evergrande is very aggressive in its business expansion, but nothing wrong with Evergrande in particular just yet. But in 2016, 2 things went wrong that might have caused this big fallout today. First, in 2016, the Chinese government noticed this flipping tactic by developers as a problem, as they know this big housing bubble would eventually burst one day, and ordered all the banks to deleverage, essentially stopping the banks from giving new loans to developers for land purchases. So most of the real estate companies started to slow down their development plans to achieve a healthier balance sheet. Hui, on the other hand, saw this as a great opportunity for expansion, because as the company's name Evergrande suggests, he wanted the company to be bigger and bigger. To do that, he placed one of the largest commercial bets in human history. He wanted to buy all the lands and projects that other real estate developers were selling. But there was one problem. The banks were not willing to lend him more money as the deleveraging effort. So where could he get his expansion money? He turned to Evergrande's 120,000 employees. In 2017, Evergrande formed a financial company that sold financial products to its employees. So basically, Evergrande would offer crazy 20 to 30% discounts on pre-construction sales for its employees. These employees could either make a quick flip for 20% profit or hold it for more in the future. Some also saw this as a once-in-a-lifetime insider opportunity, as Chinese real estate investors never lost money in the last 20 years, so they would even borrow money from friends and family to jump on board. And even if one did not like the investment idea, the company put a minimum investment threshold on every department, or someone would get fired. The company also heavily marketed itself as a Fortune 500 company and the largest developer in China to give consumer confidence in buying more pre-sales. But things didn't turn out as expected. What they didn't expect is that China implemented its largest effort to control rising housing prices at the end of 2020, as the government saw it become the most important social problem to solve. All of a sudden, the certain profit investment seemed too risky and everyone started to sell, which put even more downward pressure on housing prices. It's like the opposite of a self-fulfilling prophecy. The second trouble Evergrande has is its management problems. According to a document leaked online, the high executives of Evergrande all had very picky details about how they travel, including setting room temperature to specific degrees of their preference before their arrival, changing water bottles to brands they like. Hui even requested to clear out a floor when he stayed at hotels as he did not like to be spotted by strangers. And these are all just the tip of the iceberg. What is even more crazy is that Evergrande overstretched itself into costly unrelated businesses without any corporate governance. At one point, Evergrande had a beverage company, a baby formula company, a very expensive soccer team, including the world's third best-paid soccer player in 2011, and last but not least, a multi-billion-dollar electric car company that Hui claimed to be one day even bigger than Tesla. You think this is crazy enough? Wait, for the worst is yet to come. Even though Evergrande had so much debt, it was one of the highest dividend-paying companies in China for the last few years. Evergrande has paid out about 60 billion Chinese yuan in dividends, and Hui himself received at least 40 billion of them, which is about $6 billion US. It is believed that the money is probably put into a family trust, which means that no one other than the beneficiaries of the trust can touch that money ever again. Even if Evergrande goes bankrupt one day, Hui would still have enough money to spend for the rest of his life. But what about the employees and customers that bought Evergrande's pre-sales? They are all the victims of this crazy bet made by Hui. Now, the interest payment deadline for Evergrande is coming this Thursday, and many believe that the Chinese government might have to bail it out as it is too big to fail. Whether it will be saved or not, the worry that this might be another Lehman moment has already caused turbulence in the stock markets globally. That's all for today's video. If you enjoyed the video, please like and leave a comment. And be sure to subscribe and hit the bell button to turn on notifications so you can stay updated on the top tech stories of today. This is Stocks TLDR, here to give you all the financial knowledge you need.